Welcome back, everyone. You've heard from leaders in a wide variety of industries and roles looking to mobilize and affect change for individuals, communities, and corporations. And we are going to segue now into society, jobs, and assets and build on that. My name is Tammy Rosen, and I'm a social innovation ambassador. Okay, that's a mouthful. In other words, my company didn't sponsor me to be here today. But no, on a serious note, I've always had roles at companies doing a number of things that I'm proud of in my professional career, whether it was human resources or culture and education for both tech and finance firms. But the roles I've played in social innovation were in addition to that. It was in my teams, it was outside my teams, it was across companies and within my communities. This segment means a lot to me, and I love this summit. This summit has been a place to have great conversations and really catalyze ideas. It brings people together who care to make a difference. And I love that. And I love the passion of one person taking an idea, flipping it on its head, solving a common problem we all grapple with, and making a huge movement and a difference. Today, or at least in the next hour, we're going to hear about a prosecutor's vision for a better justice system. A candid discussion about race, prison, and purpose. How a company is helping veterans transition back into civilian life, and how humanitarians are looking to end human trafficking. What brings all these together is a common thread of looking to create better opportunities and unlock potential for people who may have unintentional barriers or sometimes intentional barriers for their success. And that's something I'm really proud about today. So first up is our friend Adam Foss. Adam was a prosecutor for the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office in Boston. Last year, he teamed up with Ty Sticklorius, who's right here in the audience with us, and John Legend to lead a Prosecutor's Impact. And a Prosecutor's Impact is an outfit seeking to bring new lens to crime and punishment, training prosecutors on unconscious bias, and real alternatives to incarceration, especially for juvenile offenders. His brilliant TED Talk got over 1 million views, and he's going to share a piece of that with us today. Please join me in welcoming Adam to the stage and congratulating him for being on the Route 100 list and coming right there from New York today.
Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank Landmark and Zeev and the Social Innovation Summit for having me. Can I just say that this is like the first tech conference that I went to that I think there are more women here than men, so can we just give it up for the women? So I want you to think about 15 years ago and think about your life then and what you'd had to do for the following things. So when you wanted to see a movie, your choices were to go to the theater or to go to Blockbuster. When you wanted to get somewhere without your own car, you had to stand out on the side of the road and wave your arm around. If you wanted to read a book, you went to the library or Barnes & Noble. And if you wanted to date another person, you actually had to go up to them and talk to them instead of swiping right. And we laugh because we've come so far in all of these areas, and certainly we've fixed a lot of life's minor conveniences. But in that same amount of time, our prison population has doubled, and it has affected the same group of people that it's always been affecting, and we haven't made one increment of progress towards reducing that. The least innovative, the least technologically advanced institution is the one that affects people that you and I usually don't see because they're stored away from us. This room is sort of a microcosm of the rest of the country in that there are very few people of color in this room, and it doesn't mean that they are any less talented or any less deserving to be there. It's just that life's impediments, their life's inconveniences, have never been addressed. And it's a major injustice that is robbing all of us of their intellect, of their creativity, and of the contributions they could be making to this conversation and conversations like this all across the country. This nation suffers from a plague called mass incarceration. 2.3 million Americans are in jails and prisons right now, with another 7 million people on probation and parole, one misstep away from landing in the same institutions. 1 in 4 Americans has a criminal record, and 1 in 3 black men will end up in prison at some point in their lifetime. And every day this is playing out in our courtrooms across the country. And while last Tuesday signaled a negative response to a lot of things, I'm here to tell you and inspire you that all is not lost for the populations that I'm talking about right now. By a show of hands, how many of you have been to prison? Look around. How many of you have a family member that's in prison? Few more. How many of you think that the criminal justice system is working fairly and effectively? How many of you want to do something about it, but just don't know what to do? Great. I was a prosecutor for 10 years, and on my first day of work, I walked into my office having just come from law school. And from the time that I left law school in May until the time that I started in the DA's office in October, I did nothing to prepare myself to become a prosecutor. I prepared myself to take a test. That test was a bar exam. I took that in July. And then the day after that, I got into a van and I drove around the country with my band. And as soon as I got back, I went into the district attorney's office, and on my first day, I started making decisions about people's lives that would affect them forever. And what did I bring to that courtroom that put me in the position to do that? My law school education, which would have made me qualified to be a tax attorney or a real estate attorney or a wills and trust attorney or a civil litigator or an entertainment lawyer, but I just happened to pick this other job. And while all of those other professions, all those other disciplines of law might allow for learning on the job, it's not something that we should be doing in prosecution, because every single day, thousands of times a day, all across the country, prosecutors like myself were making decisions about people's lives without any information about those people. And as a result, those people kept cycling through the system and coming back and coming back and coming back, and we'd all stand around wondering, what can we do, but we did nothing. And it wasn't because there was a financial incentive to keep sending people to prison, as a lot of activists would have you think. I wasn't making any more money for the number of people that I was convicting. The police weren't making any more money for the number of people they were arresting. The judges weren't making any more money for the amount of people that they were sending to prison. It wasn't a financial incentive. And certainly the police didn't go to work looking to lock up black and brown and poor people, and I didn't go to work looking to prosecute black and brown and poor people, and the judges didn't go to work looking to judge and sentence black and brown and poor people. We weren't part of some sinister plan to keep the man down. And so why did we continue to do it? The answer? Inertia. The criminal justice system that we have now is the same that we've had since the founding of this country, and even more than that, since the founding of lots of countries in Europe. It first appeared at the signing of the Magna Carta. The public prosecutor was part of the institutional formation that came out of the Magna Carta. And their job then is the same as it was now, to find facts about somebody who committed a crime and present them to a trier of fact. The job has never changed. The only advances in technology and data since then have made it easier for police to find you and have it made it easier for me to put you in jail. That's it. But I was standing there as a prosecutor meeting people that I'd never, ever seen before. And I don't mean I never met that individual person, but I was seeing drug dealers, and I was seeing homeless people, and I was seeing drug addicts, and I was seeing prostitutes and people who lived in abject poverty. And all I was relying upon was my life experience and a little bit of education that I got in law school to make decisions about these people. And so there's no surprise that that failed every single time. because what I thought was good for this person was the last thing that they needed. And that's true of every prosecutor that comes before you. Our choices were jail or no jail. Even though lots of scientists, lots of statisticians, lots of economists, lots of sociologists were telling us there's a better way. If it's a drug addict, they need drug treatment. If it's a person who's stealing because they don't have something, they need a job. If it's somebody who's being violent, it's because they were violence was probably perpetrated on them and they need treatment for that. So the information is out there, but we're not receiving it. And even if we received it, we're not trained how to use it. And even if we were receiving it and trained how to use it, we don't collect data to tell us if it's working. So that's where you all come in. My question to you is why, when I'm standing in a courtroom next to a person who's in crisis, do I not have some way to find out everything I need to know about this person and everywhere that they can receive the services and the treatment that they need? I can do that almost anywhere else except when I'm standing in a courtroom when it means the most. Right now, I bet you can tell me every good restaurant that's around here, all the ratings and all their menus and everything that they serve there, but I couldn't tell you, standing next to a person in the grips of a drug addiction, where the nearest treatment center was, whether there was a bed available, whether it was effective. Even if I had that information, why was I not trained how to use it? I'm in the job of changing human behavior. Somebody does something, I'm supposed to intervene so they don't do it again. Guess what I never learned about in law school? Human behavior or how to change it. That's what Ty and my organization is trying to do now, is train prosecutors in things like adolescent brain development, in trauma, in poverty, in loss, in victimization, in the race history of the United States of America, in risk assessment and restorative justice. And finally, even if we have those things, why aren't we collecting data to understand that the implements that we're using are working? Inertia, lack of creativity, lack of resource. But that's why we're here. We're not here to talk about the latest dating app. We're not here to talk about the latest ride-sharing app. We're asking you for our help. Because if you raise your hand looking for something to do about the criminal justice system and its flaws, this is it. Each and every one of you are brilliant minds that are thinking all the time about how to create something that's going to make somebody's life easier and better. And if you feel that it's your moral imperative to help those people who are not in this room, who saw the election on Tuesday as the end of our progress, who are sitting in jails and prisons just counting the days go by as we pay for them just to sit there and rot, if you feel that it's your moral imperative, then think next time that you have an idea about how can I put technology in a courthouse so that prosecutors aren't making these devastating decisions anymore. How can I help them train the prosecutors so that they're using that information in the most impactful way? And how do we collect data, not only to show them that it's working, but to show all of you when it's not so we can vote these people out? I'll leave you with this. Tuesday for a lot of people was a devastating day. And it's because we saw this person run on a platform of law and order, repealing all the criminal justice reform work that we did. Of the 2.3 million people that are in jail, 90% of them are state and local prisons. Something that he can't ever touch, something that he can't ever fix. And every single person in this room has the opportunity to do so. Please don't lose hope. We need you in this fight. And you and your skills that you bring will definitely help someone so that in 50 years from now, when we're looking back on this period in our history, you can say with your head held high, I did something to end mass incarceration. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Adam. That's so powerful of a statement. And what I really hung on is this idea that how much money we are putting into this criminal justice system, yet there's been no innovation. It seems like incredible in this day and age that we do not have innovation in our system for criminal justice. So by raise of hands, how many of you know who your district attorney is? Okay. I'm going to ask you, if you know who your district attorney is, make sure you know what they stand for and why. If you don't know who your district attorney is, find out. You elect them. And this is a way that we can make change happen, get the right district attorneys in office who can affect the change in the system for our people, especially those first-time juvenile offenders where this can actually change their lives. Okay, thank you, Adam. Thank you for that passionate speech.